our lockdown. How has it been on your end?
It's been quite difficult. You know, you wake up in the morning, you sit around the compound, you look at the time. You know, you lose sense of the calendar because you fail to understand which is a Monday and which is a Sunday.
Hello, welcome to this edition of You and the Law. My name is Jonathan Ochom, your host. You and the Law is simply what it is, you and the law. In this show, we try to demystify the law for the ordinary person, make it simple for a teacher, for a lawyer, for a farmer, for a doctor, for a border rider, for a cleaner, everyone in our society. This program touches on every aspect of our lives that relate to the law. Is it marriage? Is it property? Is it land? Is it traffic? Anything that touches on the law.
You might be in your bedroom with an underage girl, or you might be with another person's wife. You know, all the things are the law. You know.
COVID-19 came and disorganized our economy, brought our health system to its knees, and along the way, affected our rights significantly. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. My name is Jonathan Ochom, your host.
When it comes to the law, we basically live the law, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you know. Whether it is in your bedroom, there is a law that governs it. If you're married, for example, even if you're single, there could be something touching on the law because you might be in your bedroom with an underage girl, or you might be with another person's wife. You know, all the things are the law. You know.
If you're a human being, you have rights. Those rights are called human rights. They are examples: the right to health, the right to freedom from torture. That underscores human dignity. Freedom from slavery. You're not supposed to be someone's slave.
If you look at our penal code, it sets out another marriage laws. It sets out the persons who can marry and those who cannot marry, right? For example, you can't marry your close relatives. You know, if you did, you'd be committing a crime.
The state is not supposed to tell you who to worship, how to worship, how many times in a day. No, you have a right to work. A right to work. You have freedom of association.
Cohabitation for whatever period of time does not make you husband and wife, right? And that is why we emphasize to people that when the relationship is still hot, you know, you must ensure that you do what? Marry.
Yes.
You know.
For human rights to be respected, protected, and fulfilled, relevant government programs must actually work. Medicine should reach hospitals, oxygen should be there, health workers should have gloves, teachers should be present. Now they are mostly absent, and they have left the profession, a good number of them. They are into trading. So things must work. If things don't work, human rights are not respected, are not protected, and are not fulfilled.
COVID-19 has tested our hope and faith as individuals, families, and the country at large. Besides destroying many aspects of our lives, the novel coronavirus has also affected our human rights in many ways. You and the Law, the COVID edition, is a 30-minute weekly television program that focuses on the impact of COVID-19 on human rights in Uganda. The program engages experts to explain the importance of rights-based approaches to the success of any public health response to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of human rights amidst the challenges presented by COVID-19. You and the Law, the television program, brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda, taking the law to the last mile in proud association with I4C Africa Hub and House of Talent Television, coming soon.
It is a creative industry talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Welcome to the program. This week on the program, we bring you the story of those who are doing it in Uganda. And of course, we are always talking about local content development,
local content development, buy Uganda, build Uganda. Do we really understand what this means? Do we know what local content development means? Everyone is talking about it. And today on the program, we decided to focus mainly on the woodwork in Uganda. You know, the creative industry talk is talking about, you know, furniture building in Uganda. Do you buy Ugandan furniture? Do you have a Ugandan furniture in your building? Or are you all the way flying to China and to all these other places to have furniture from there? Yet you have people who are doing this woodwork in Uganda. On the program today, we focused their story and of course the interview to the young men who I found around the streets of Kampala. One day I was driving and I was looking for Ugandan furniture, and so I used to drive on the same road over and over, and I see this place and there's just a couple of young people just doing their stuff, you know, crazy ideas and, you know, things put around the place, and I decided to give them a visit. It started raining, so I stood there for a couple of hours watching and seeing what was going on while I wait for a table to come to my office. And indeed, they made a table. So what I was looking for was, do they really understand what they're doing? Do they understand the art, you know, behind the creativity that they're actually, you know, involved in? And along the way, I realized that they just simply need, you know, somebody to believe in them. So we decided to bring them onto the program today so that we can enjoy the creative minds and the creative people of Uganda in the woodwork in Uganda, in the furniture business in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, welcome you all to the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, my guest today is a man from the eastern part of Uganda. David Anderson Onyango was one of the people leading that particular business, you know, on that particular street in Kampala, Uganda, to the furniture business and supply in Kampala. David, welcome to the program. How are you doing? Here we spread the love. When you do this, you must spread the love. So you have to spread the love, yes. Welcome to the program, and I'm going to take off my glasses so that the creativity can start. First of all, we want to start from a very lighter note. Who is David Onyango?
Well, I am David Onyango Anderson. As you said, from the east, but born and raised of Kampala.
Okay.
I've roamed the streets of Kampala. I've seen my childhood through Kampala, my best and worst. And I am now a woodworker, a law student, and a mental health worker, all in one person.
Yes. So when you say you're not a woodworker and a mental health worker, but first we want to take you growing up. Who was David growing up? What did you want to be in life? What were you looking for in life growing up?
Well, growing up, I went to school in Chitante, right here. I was a very argumentative person. So I think law was always the option for me. But I was interested in art as an option, as a main part of my life. I was interested in creating beautiful things because I saw beauty in the things I saw most of the times. So I think that explains my choices in both law, which is something I'm passionate about, and woodworking, which gives me the chance to create art physically and see it.
Okay. So we want to just, get straight to this interview and just try to sort of like know you from a certain, angle and with a certain lens. When you were growing up, did you ever make those wired cars, things we used to use when we were learning how to drive, making those things, were you that creative when you were growing up?
I was, actually.
What is the memorable thing that you think you created when you're growing up that when you look back today, you can say it all started from here?
I think it was around 2002. I created my first tipper with actually the ability to tip its content. All in the streets of Mulago, and it had lights, it had the tipping pad.
Yes.
I refused to sell it off. I would sell a lot of items, but I kept that one for myself because
wow.
I think it was the beginning of it.
Yes. Now, talking of that, did your father or your mother ever see you as a creative person?
Well, I grew up with my mother for most of the time.
And as you know, life in Kampala, you don't really get time to be with your parents.
Yeah.
A lot of the times because they're always pulling ends together. But I think, I don't know if she saw it, but she gave us the freedom to explore.
Yeah.
She did not control us a lot.
Okay.
She controlled our behaviors, but she gave us the freedom to do our own things that were within her rating of moral and fine. So we had that chance. We could do this, as you said, small wire cars and sell them off, and she would let us use our money for our things. And I think that pushed us forward to know that, well, if you create something good, then you can get money from it. And I think the greatest motivation is always money at the end of the day.
You speak with the word plural, which means us. Who are we? Us referring to who? How many are you in the family, and are you the firstborn or the lastborn?
I am the second lastborn.
Yeah.
We are in a family of 4 children. Yeah, I have a bigger brother, I think, who comes up more in the plural form. I have a sister who is a graphic designer. Still, I think art is in the family in a way.
Yes.
And my big brother was the inspiration into woodwork at the main part, because there's a bigger age gap, so he went into the business before me.
Yeah.
And he pulled me into it. But even in the start, I mean, he inspired me a lot.
Okay. Talking of that, we are talking to David Onyango here. We're talking about woodwork. This entire interview today on the Creative Industry Talk, we're talking about furniture in Kampala, furniture in Uganda, furniture in Africa. Do Africans buy their own furniture? Do we buy things made from our own people? Do we sit in things made by our own people? Today's topic is looking at the local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture. And of course, we have David Anderson Onyango from he's the business development director at, formerly it's called Arc Furniture,
yes,
but now it's called Chronicle Furniture. I learned this morning. Oracle Furniture, I learned this morning. And it's a new business. They are situated on Bukoto Kisasi Road. And these guys do amazing stuff. So we brought them on the show today so that you can actually understand that there are some simple Ugandans creating local content that are good for our businesses. David, we want to go back to this interview and start this interview from a very interesting point. So let's talk about woodwork. Furniture, Ugandan-made furniture. What is your definition of a Ugandan-made furniture?
Well, my definition of Ugandan-made furniture has expanded a bit the deeper I went into the industry. Initially, Ugandan-made furniture was woodwork. It had to be woodwork. But the creative minds that we are, Ugandans, we've expanded. We've expanded into the medium density fiber boards, that is MDF ordinarily. We've expanded into reclaimed wood furniture, where we have the pallet furniture. So it has really grown. But to me, the definition would be that it's a piece made by a Ugandan in Uganda, and with our own creativity here, because we have a different scope of creativity from everyone else.
All right, very good. And what is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda? We are always talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. What is your understanding of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda? Bobo.
Well, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, I think this is what employs us as Ugandans to come back to develop and support our own pieces of furniture here, our own items here, made by our creativity and our materials. And it pulls us back to understand that we are going to receive furniture that has been made based on our ability as Ugandans, but feel proud of it because it is made here by our own and from our own materials.
Talking of that, David, most times we think that, when we're looking to buy a bed, I go to Nina Interiors of this world, I go to big time furniture shops to get a bed. But also there are these guys on the roadside for low cost housing conditions, furniture where people usually just go to, buy their bed for that area. But we tend to think about validation and the point of buying furniture from the sense that I want imported furniture, that is when I feel that I have spent my money right. Having started this business, what motivated you to move towards it, and why? Why yet the odds against you are quite too straight that I will go to Mina Interior to buy furniture from, or I will go to slightly moderate place to buy furniture from there because I want to, there's this notion that a Ugandan made furniture is not good.
Well, my main motivation was and still is the fact that when I look at the furniture from the what you call the high class sell places, I don't see any difference. They actually work a lot on budget. So our local furniture, our local carpenters here do produce items, let's say a bed, using the same materials, the same quantity of wood and even more, and waste it. But because they demand so less from themselves, they keep it at a given rate of quality. They didn't seek to compete with they had actually quoted themselves as the lower end and gotten satisfied with that.
All right, you guys are coming in to sort of like redefine the thinking that has always been there of we can make the Ugandan wood look good, and a person can be more prouder to buy from Uganda and even custom make something to their taste. How has that journey been like, and how are Ugandans responding to that creativity?
Initially, it was hard,
Yeah.
really hard, because most of these people, when they get their money, they want to go and buy this piece. I mean, buy it, take it home, and then they're done with that purchase. And sometimes, due to less capital, the manpower, you need the time to actually create this. So first of all, you demand something which is very rare from someone, and that is, first of all, trust and time. And these are very valuable at the same time. So it's really been a challenging journey, trying to get people to trust you and then give you the time.
Okay, so having gotten people to trust you and get to this level, let's talk about your first customer when you started. The very first day you guys walked out to start something. What did you create for a customer? Did you create for yourself? How did you start?
Initially, we actually worked from our own home. So we depended on our own contacts. We began with friends. First with family, then friends. Then my own realization was that the recommendations are better at the end of the day. So we began getting the recommendations. Until, well, it became a bit hard to invite someone to your home to show them furniture. So you had to now think of a location.
Yeah.
And that is how the journey started. And the trust came from people who knew us, because they knew we had something to lose more than money itself.
Yeah.
And then the other strangers that trusted us because they trusted someone else.
Yes.
Until we've reached at an extent
where
we are able to at least now attract trust without a middle person and without prior knowledge of the person.
Okay. David, just before we go for a break, would you quantify and qualify that as being, that very last part of it says, as being, attributed to the fact that when you did something, the person you made for felt happy and felt like, I can recommend these people? Or how did you get to that point of building trust? Because trust in the foundation of business, globally, economy is built on trust. I trust you, I give you business, I trust that you take my creative thinking and turn it into a reality, and you give me this furniture that when I sit in, if it's a chair, I feel good. If it's a table, I feel nice to sit and take my cup of coffee or eat food. If it is bed, when I go to sleep, I feel comfortable that this is something I thought about how I wanted the bed to be like, and I went to David with my creativity, and he turned around my creativity into a reality.
Well, definitely, it is because we've been able to pay back these people's consideration, the customers' consideration, exactly the way they give it back. Take, for example, most of the times, first of all, when someone trusts you, and then they give you the time. So one thing they don't want is an excuse. So you keep it out of the equation. And then there's also the ability to own up to a mistake, because you can't eradicate them. But every time you own up to a mistake, it gives you the relationship between the customer and the maker and the seller sort of a new fresh page to begin from, because it is not something everyone does.
Okay. We're talking to David Anderson Onyango from the Oracle Furniture, Limited, straight out of Kampala from the Bukoto, Kisasi Road, and these guys do amazing stuff. You need to check them out. They're on the Creative Industry Talk. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, the interview with David will continue while we dive into the whole point of creativity. What is creativity by his understanding, and does what he does every single day represent the whole heart of creativity? Furniture, Ugandan-made furniture. Do you have a furniture in your house, by the way? If you don't have one, perhaps you need to consider these guys. All of us dream big, but you must have somebody who can bring your dream into a reality. Stay right there. I'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
If you create a space which enables people to think and thrive, that's a bonus. Before I started working officially, I used to do a lot of freelance work. And as a young freelancer, my laptop was on my back. And I didn't have an internet connection. I didn't have an office desk. It was difficult for me to work at home. So what I did is I would go and sit in a restaurant, buy some tea or breakfast, and ask for a Wi-Fi password. And then I would sit there and have my breakfast slowly, as I did my work, and I sent work to clients and everything, But before long, it would be lunchtime, and they would
be forced to eat also.
They would bring you lunch menu. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So when you find a space where people can come and sit, and pay for a full day.
10,000, I'm told.
Yes, you see, that is creativity.
Yeah.
Because the owner of this building or the owner of this space knows that people, there's a certain segment of the market that can't afford to rent a premises per square meter, or 10 square meters or 100 square meters, and pay monthly, and bring their own furniture, their own internet connection, carpeting, light and everything, a working bathroom, and then lunch for staff members. So they think about it creatively, and they say, how many people can this space take? 100 people per day. Okay, good. If each of those people pays 10,000 per day, and they come and have access to the internet, and a nice chair and a desk, and a good environment where they can concentrate and deliver. That is brilliant. That is creativity in the workplace.
It is a Creative Industry Talk, and welcome back to the program. In the studio, we are talking to David Anderson Onyango from Oracle Furniture Limited. David, welcome back to the program. David, a lot of time when I am dreaming, everyone in life dreams of something good, something, fantastic, something, nobody wants to live a poor life, and we believe that everybody is born creative. We all aspire to have something good in life. Furniture is one of those things that we want to have at home. Nobody wants to be in a house that doesn't have good chairs or good beds, or or a TV stand and stuff like that. We want to talk to you about creativity from the point of how you take my creative thinking and turn it to a reality that becomes the table or become the TV stand that I use at home. And most times, carpenters in Uganda, all world over, they always say that if a carpenter is too good to produce something for you, then they are too difficult to deal with. They take too long to produce the stuff. typically take us through the process of you taking my thinking and turning it into a reality dream of a furniture, of a table that I need to have home, and how long does it typically take? Because sometimes you take way too long that people get frustrated. That's why we go for imported wood.
Well, it is very true, and it is a great challenge to, I think, the furniture industry generally. And I think that is what gives a lot of platform to those people that sell finished products.
Yes.
But for custom woodworkers, first of all, you have to understand that the time is not negotiable. The time of production, actually, the process through which this item is supposed to be produced cannot be altered. Usually the altering comes with its own effects. So first of all, it takes honesty to please tell the customer or the person ordering that after this description, it will take this time. And I think while you give the time, you need to put an allowance for yourself based on how busy you are. So the biggest challenge with oftentimes in the furniture industry, they call it the technical curse.
Yes. Because
the more skilled someone is, then they develop the pride first of all. Then they develop the fact that they are irreplaceable. They're like, you will go and then you will come back. So that is not a business mind.
Yes,
but for a person that wants to do both woodwork as a passion and as a business, you have to balance through these things. You have to balance through these things. You have to keep enough pride so that you don't let a customer push you into a shorter time when you know it is impossible to fulfill. And then you have to lower the pride a bit to be able to alter and know that the customer is key. And you are going to need them either through a recommendation or a second job. So when you balance the two, you treat the customer right, you treat the furniture right, and then you receive their ideas, but still you don't alter the carpentry principles, the woodworking principles, because the customer is ordering. You have to maintain the principles, and that way you produce the exact same thing and the perfection that they seek, which pushes them to come back.
Okay. David, do you think that is the same process that everyone out there goes through? Because, well, you have an education clearly to yourself, and there are these people who just learned the skill from the street. They are creative people. They started from there. They are able to do something great for themselves, but they don't have a business mind. How would you help such a person have a business mind and turn around? You know, while we're talking about the local content creation for, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda.
Exactly. I think historically, woodworking has been passed on, carpentry has been passed on through apprenticeship. So that is the biggest challenge. You learn the skill, you don't get the business skill because the teacher wants to keep their customers.
Yes.
But then, due to the current development, we have the technical schools teaching carpentry. They're teaching the theoretical part, but they are indulging less business. And then the business methods they indulge in are also less practical. They have been written in books. They have not been actually applied sometimes. So I think one needs to first of all learn the dynamics, consider carpentry as a business, as a trade. And the rules of trade are the same regardless of which trade you're going in. We have standard rules that don't change. So currently, I think it is something I personally took upon myself, and in our kind of business, we do have apprentices, by the way. We do take in students. They learn, especially through the lockdown. We've had a lot of them coming in and to take on the skill. But we always give them 1 or 2 days in a month where they come into the selling desk and they get to see what it means to actually do the sale. You don't have to be on the planer all the time, on the circular saw. You need to know that after the circular saw, this customer doesn't know it exists. How do you inform them that it is the step that is going forward on their object? And then we've opened up the industrial part of carpentry to the customers. They're actually very thrilled when they see how these things are done.
So you actually take them in and show them the process, like they say, process by process, process by process, how these things are doing. Yes, exactly. So you take them through. So when a customer goes behind and sees this process by process of the woodwork going, when you look at them, what are they seeing at that point? And what is their response when you finally deliver this final piece to their home or to their sitting room or to their offices here?
Well, they're always very thrilled. It is surprising, even to some of us sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone will order something custom, and then you make a work plan, and then you sit and you're like, is this achievable?
But it's a creativity from you.
Exactly. And then
Yes.
as the process goes on,
Yeah.
there are customers who have, before the process, who ask for pictures of the process.
Yeah.
And then even ourselves take pictures of the process sometimes. And then sometimes you move to a certain level and you call your fellows, and then this is how it's turning out.
Okay.
And then there's advice. And then when the customers also come in and they look at it, they're like, is that really going to come out? And you're like, wait. And the thrill after they see it coming out, it creates a different set of attachment to this. Some customers have asked for please, can you bring it and I assemble it myself? They want to feel like they're now part of this production team, the production of this item, and they talk about it a lot of times, and it keeps them coming back to the workshop. Some of them have indulged their children into this woodworking just because of how they saw it move. And now the availability of power tools has improved a lot.
Yeah.
It has improved the whole process. It has made it more conducive for the customers to see and for us to work. The environments we work in are less cluttered, and that is.
So it's not
does it for
woodwork
us.
as we used to know back in the days, where the guy would be, with a nail banging things and trying to turn around things, and it's more professional now. It's more like you're saying that we're learning from you. There's more, electronic tools that have come in that has made this kind of creativity quite very easy. David, that's really fascinating to hear that the customer is involved in the process. So do you think having the customers involved in this process is beginning to change the mindsets of Ugandans, of Africans, that yes, we can make this ourselves, yes, we can make our own furniture, yes, we can make beautiful things, yes, we can turn around our living spaces and, to something that we enjoy to be in, that I can actually be creative and see my little room like this, and think about how this is going to be here, that's going to be there, and I walk to a carpenter and make this, become a reality. Do you think that is improving as the time goes? And where do you see us in the next, couple of years from now?
Well, it's really improving a lot. It has helped a lot. First of all, for the customers to set realistic goals. Mm-hmm. Because as they discuss with the woodworkers, you get to exchange the impossibilities and the possibilities. Mm. See, I want this, but that kind of wood you want cannot achieve this particular goal.
Yeah.
So if you want that as an end result, you have to come into this type of wood. And then the advantages and differences and disadvantages of each type of wood. I'll give a live example. If you want a white item to be in color white, a piece of furniture to be in color white, it is more difficult to use a muvule piece of wood, because muvule is naturally yellow. Mm. So if you paint white on it, the yellow will always come out.
Yes,
so
yes.
These kind of lessons to customers has made it more easy. And it has also helped the industry grow a lot. Yeah. It is now more interactive, and interaction has always yielded good fruits, because in that way you get to know each other's challenges and work ways around them every time you're doing transactions with those people.
Okay, so I've seen there are people who come up with good ideas. They have an understanding of what they're looking for as a place, or as a wood, or as a furniture to have at home. And in most cases, they say, I want a black and green and yellow furniture at the same time. Do you always advise them, do you go to somebody's house and say, look, the kind of furniture you want, looking at the space you have and looking at the colors that you have in the house will clash, and maybe you'll have to have this? And do customers usually respond to it? Because I see also another side where people are so obsessed with the, spraying things and putting different colors. Natural things like the ones we have in the studio here is not very much, looked at as beauty, How do you deal with that? Do you advise them, or do they just come and say, I want the green table, give me a green table, and you give them? Like you said, Mvule is yellow. If you paint white, it's not going to come out very well. How do you go through that process of turning around the customers, crazy creative ideas into a beautiful idea?
Well, it depends on how much the customer invites you in.
Yes.
We have customers that will pack up and then say, please, can I steal you away for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I want to show you something, and then you can advise me.
Okay.
Now, when you give me that kind of platform, I'm going to advise you without even considering how much money I make. Well, sometimes someone will come to you and then they're like, I want a Mugavu TV stand, but I want it wall mounted. But you see, a Mugavu TV stand is going to be extra kilograms.
Yes.
So
if you mount it on the wall and your wall is not strong, basically you're saying it will come down.
It is going to come down.
Yeah. So how do you help them achieve such
sometimes,
unrealistic goals?
Yeah, most of the time, you do advise them. Yeah. If you want to wall mount, you're going into you can go into something lighter. We have other lighter pieces of wood, and they look beautiful too. And we can tone them in different ways. Usually wood has a lot of its own tonation, but then when we are going to tone it artificially, we prefer the lighter varieties, the Musambias, the pine. Well, pine has been embraced very much because of the environmental impact of the other hardwoods. We have pine, we're reclaiming with cypress. But you do advise the customer very much, and if they really came into a custom shop and they knew where they were coming, they'll just try to modify their ideas based on your advice, and then you can come up with a consensus on what exactly is going to work for them. And then the other idea is the idea of people taking custom measurements. This is your house, so if you want a TV stand, from where to where do you want it to run? So I'll advise you.
Wow. Well, we're talking to David Onyango, who is the business development director of Oracle Furniture Limited, a company based in Uganda. Started by local Ugandans, very young people. As you can see David here, the people he leads are very young. Fascinating to see that, David, you are actually a law student into furniture. I mean, usually putting on a very good necktie and being, called land friend is more respectable to some people out there than being called a carpenter law student. I mean, how do you balance the two? Why the woodwork and the law,
Well, for me, I think I loved being able to create things every time. And when I went into law, I knew I had the power to create words, to change them and alter them, to determine new things, and do different things with my mouth, with how I speak and how I write. So I had one part of my creativity that I had not tampered with, and that is the physical, creating something that I can actually see. That is why I decided to have the same combination. Funny story, when I finished with my A-level and I had a sponsor actually, and he engaged me on what the way forward was. I told him I have two options. See, I'm going into law school, or I'm going into carpentry school. Say, but well, those are not two options. That is one. You're going into law school.
Yes.
I said, okay, then that is law school. So I went into law school, but the passion did not go away. So I brought myself back into carpentry personally after chasing after law, and I'm still chasing after it. And the carpentry has been able to pay for the expenses of law school in excesses. It pays, it maintains me, and it has given me a chance to show a lot of other young people like me that we can do this. Well, you may not have two options like me. You may have one, which is law. You may have one, which is woodwork. You don't have to stay into one. You don't fix into one. You can go into each of your options, or you can take them on as a bunch. The human brain has the ability to do both.
Wow. Well, we are talking to David Anderson Onyango, and this is a Creative Industry Talk where we discuss Ugandan local content specifically and directly, focused on, local content, development on woodwork and specifically on Ugandan-made furniture. How do you find Ugandan-made furniture? We're going to be showing you some really good furnitures out there made by these guys in people's homes from their workshop. We want to make sure that everybody who is out there and is a creative mind, you know, find this platform quite a very interesting platform for them to be part of. And of course, creativity and coffee goes all together, David. So I'm gonna just, you know, make for you a French press as we take a break. You also take a moment to just make a French press for yourself. And we're gonna take a coffee break. And the Creative Industry Talk will be right back after this break.
Actually, my editor told me, Jeremy, there is no way you can call your book Man on Top.
Yes.
And I said, no, I'm actually going to call it Man on Top because I think I can sell it.
Yes.
Okay, I think I can sell it. And so the first task for me was to define Man on Top away from the definition it already has.
That we already know.
Yes. So for me, a man on top is a man that is faithful, dependable, and responsible.
Yeah.
So I began a campaign about saying you're a man on top, you're faithful, you're responsible, you're productive. Yeah. So every man has within them a desire to be those three things, to be faithful, to be productive, and to be responsible. So every person who thought they were faithful, responsible, and productive said to call themselves a man on top. You see, that was the sale idea in terms of the title. The cover really was purely about getting people to pick up the book, especially the ladies. I think it worked.
Young people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand. Remember Prince? Yes. Prince.
Welcome back to the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela and this is House of Talent Television. Of course, we're talking to David Anderson Onyango from Oracle Furniture Limited. You know, a Ugandan, authentic Ugandan outfit making furniture for people's beautiful homes, beautiful furniture, beautiful people. And you can go there and create your own. And he's earned himself the right to be on the Creative Industry Talk because some of the things in the studio where we're seated today is actually done by David and his people. The first time I met these guys, I went into their workshop, sat there and decided I have something I need them to do for us. And so I like to, you know, work with creative people, creative Ugandans, young people, whether young or old. I want to bring them together. I love to bring the best out of people. So I decided to give them an opportunity to be able to build a woodwork and to build a studio with me, and we did this together. David, welcome back to the program. And we want to talk about it. So this studio here is built by you guys. You know, the woodwork in this studio built by you guys. We gave you guys a recommendation and we've got a fantastic review coming back from Legal Hub that they're very happy with their studio. You were never traditionally doing studios. You didn't even do them. We open up the door for you. How does that make you feel like when somebody takes you away completely from making chairs and beds and, you know, the living, you know, room, you know, furniture to now building, you know, TV studios, radio studios, and audio studios? How does that make you feel like?
Seriously, it is a very good experience. When I'll begin from your items here, the studio work. When we first produced them, everyone was stopping at the workshop. So what is this? Is this for decoration? So it was a totally new thing to us, to the viewers, to the people that pass by, other customers. We actually, before we got, after doing your studio work, before we got a second recommendation from you people, we did these items for a few other people. Others wanted them for decoration. Pastors wanted them in churches. I want it at the pulpit. I want this. And they didn't know why we were doing them, but they looked beautiful. It was even more fascinating for us who knew why we had done them in the first place. And they are yes. So it is really, really great. And since we did decide to embrace custom woodworking as a trade, we are always comfortable with this. Someone can come in. We have a rule at my workplace with and me and my guys that even if you came in and told us you want a wooden Range Rover, we would ask for a year. But we would make it.
All right. And then, of course, so you see the beautiful work here at House of Talents made by these guys. David, we want to dive into the last part of the show, which is about, understanding the local content. We're talking about, local content development in Uganda. Everybody's talking about it. The politicians are talking about it, but nobody actually really goes down to the deep end dive into the local content. Nobody puts their mind to know how does it work. Nobody wants to talk to a carpenter to see how a carpenter is doing it. Do carpentry people make sense? We have many carpentry shops around or workshops around, but we don't give them opportunity to produce something beautiful. We want to be able to live by example, to say this is built by Ugandans, this is built by the local people. When I go to the US or to Europe or to America or to the UK or to Asia, do it your way is the main thing. The skilling of people is done from that point that I am able to build my furniture from home. I was talking to a friend of mine in Germany and he said, man, I built every furniture in my house myself. He left Uganda, he had no skill at all. Our education didn't teach him that. And when he got there, he said it's more expensive to bring a carpenter to build something for you than when you build it for yourself. But they're willing to come and teach you how to do it, and then you can do it by yourself. That I found that very fascinating. So a lot of us are talking about local content development, but we don't know. We're talking about build Uganda, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But the quality of what we're talking about, the quality of the production we're producing, the products we're producing to give to people is not worth, it cannot compete with the international, or imported products coming into Uganda. What is your say in that regard now that you have carved a niche in the market for you and your people, that we want to be people who bring out custom made? You have a crazy idea, bring the crazy idea to us, we will bring it to a reality.
Well, in my own point of view, and based on my experiences so far, in my time in woodwork, I think as Ugandans, we would be more, even right now, our pieces, the items, our ability to produce things, if we concentrate, is fascinating. It is something so great to see someone get out a stump of wood and then produce something extraordinary for you. You can do it while the person is sitting there. And that is very fascinating. So if we can produce this good with these little resources, then I think what we need is the push of resources. I'll take you to a part that is absurd, basically, about in woodwork. The prices of power tools for us, the tools we actually need to produce these high quality pieces of wood, of furniture is immense here. And when I have platforms where I engage with carpenters from different parts. I have a subscription from a woodworking site called America's Guild, Woodworkers of America's Guild. And when you look at these people talking about their drill press, their circular saws, table saws, routers, they talk about very little prices, even when converted into our own prices here. Someone buys a router saw at let's say 300,000. That is their price converted to ours. And here, a quality router so that is durable is supposed to be at least 1.5.
Yeah.
So that is really the greatest setback. Remember, carpentry is a very hard business to pitch, because it's always dependent on other people.
Yeah.
It is easy for you to pitch a business if someone can easily understand it, but people don't understand the transition from wood to furniture. So it is hard to pitch, so you don't get people investing, and if you're willing to invest, then you may find yourself having capital to only buy 3 power tools, and they can't produce a piece of furniture. So I think that is our biggest challenge here. Otherwise, I've had a lot of foreigners coming in, even personally at my workshop, and then someone says, well, I didn't know we can have this kind of furniture here.
Yeah.
This is so good. I've seen young men that have gone as far as following up on the background of the trees they are going to use for furniture. So someone will give you a furniture piece and tell you that one was made from a tree that was 50 years old. And these people have methods of measuring these things, the whites, and then they're going to prove it. It's 50 years old. And this is fascinating, how someone is able to explain a piece of furniture in their house back to the tree and how old it was. So this shows how our capability as Ugandan furniture creators, as young people. Actually, woodwork has been stormed by young people, and this is somehow a good thing, because how our brains work is. I would say personally, at our workshop, at Oracle Furniture, our oldest, our age gap is between 38 and 14. So we have people who are as young as 14 years, and our oldest person is 38. So you can see that we are between the range that is ready to risk, that is ready to experiment with new ideas, to think outside the box, and that gives us an edge. And this is what, as Ugandans, not only in carpentry but in any other trade, we are supposed to embrace. If someone is willing to risk, and they are positively sure that their risk is going to produce something great, you need to trust them a bit. You need to give them a bit of a gap to experiment.
So in other words, you're saying that we must be able to allow people room to express themselves.
Exactly.
And when they have something new, we should be able to give them opportunity and a platform for them to express themselves and to do it. David, let's go straight to your workplace. Earlier on when we started the show, you were talking about how you guys started and the motivations, and how you walked through in the first place. I want to just put a few pictures up to actually show you that these guys, talk about things that they are doing. That's right there. Is that you and David? And that's the workshop, and how it all started.
Yeah, this is how we started.
Yes.
And actually, this was our first big addition, the metal structure.
Yes.
After we started, we were in a tarpaulin, in a small tent, where when it rains, we would cover ourselves with our working tools.
Yes.
Under the tarpaulin.
Okay, and yes, so is that the whole business creative idea starting there of the workshop itself?
Yes, now that is, we are creating our first structure of a house. After hitting one big job, I think, and we are sitting down now. We have to begin looking at protecting our materials, but also creating something someone can look at.
Yeah. Okay. And so when you are sitting with your young people and you're all coming with ideas, were your business ideas written down, or was it just there in people's heads that you sit down there and jazz about these things and make it a reality, or you actually wrote a proper business plan and said this is how we're going to do it? Again, there you are.
Well, I think the business plan is something we've written way deep into the business.
Yes.
That's when we decided, oh, this could become something greater. At first, we got into this whole idea as people seeking to earn a living. Young people who cannot steal, we cannot do any of these immoral things. We've been brought up in a way that it's not a choice for us. So we have one choice, is to sweat. And we had one person who had the audacity to know who had gotten time to learn this. So he was like, yeah, we can. He knew how to make these things. He didn't know any other thing.
That's all he knows.
He knew how to make these things.
So did he grow up in the Jesus' time because Jesus was born a carpenter, or what happened?
Actually, he ran into he took on apprenticeship.
Yeah.
We were younger. That is our elder brother.
Yeah.
Actually, we are a partnership of 3 brothers in the workshop, and each has a specific skill.
Okay.
But the biggest was the skilled man.
Okay.
So first of all, he comes in, we respect him, and we've seen some of his works. After learning, he did a few things for family members. The feedback was good.
Okay.
But now, it was now a new era coming in,
Yeah.
online marketing,
Yes,
social media. See, but I told him, but we can get some few customers from
Yes.
online, I
Yes.
think. He said, well, if you can, I am here to work.
Yes.
I got him one. I remember my first online customer was a doctor from Novik. I posted a small, it was was it a wardrobe?
Yeah.
On Facebook, and he liked it. He said, can I order? I said, you can definitely order. And
Yes,
I really
yes,
welcomed
yes.
him. I loved it.
Yes, yes.
I remember myself pacing to Novik and back to Novik and back, showing him the processes. And then I told Ronnie, this is our first deal. And
Go on.
and when we produced his wardrobe,
Yes.
he was very happy.
Yeah.
He was very happy. We never got any other customer from him, not a recommendation,
Yes.
but it was enough push for us to know that now the market is not from someone who can see you,
Yes.
especially since we were working from home.
Yes.
So we went online,
Yes.
and that's where we started.
Okay.
Yeah, we started from there.
Well, David, I want to read a couple of comments from here. Somebody saying, Eddie Okila, thank you very much for bringing that gentleman on the show. I'm very interesting, and this is fascinating to see young people actually involve themselves in making, furnitures that are very, that can compete with some international product. I have a problem of quality. Most Ugandan carpentry people or people in carpentry business usually don't pay attention to details, and the quality is always wanting. Can you ask David, how are they doing it? Have they improved? Well, I think that we can ask David by putting some of the pictures up. We can see, let's put up some of the pictures from Arc Furniture up there so that people can see. So right there, let's talk to this. David, the process of making this chair, somebody's asking if you now improve attention to details. Yes. I guess it's talking about the cushions and the stuff like that, the fitting and stuff like that. Do you have other people who do this work?
Exactly. One thing that is tying the furniture industry back is the fact that you find one person wanting to do everything.
Yeah.
So you always need that person that can cite who can do what best and let everyone specialize. Furniture is a very, very broad. It's a broad spectrum of work.
Yes.
So you cannot do it all well.
Actually, hold it there. So that right there, that was my table. So I walked to these guys and I gave them a huge challenge, and I said, I want you guys to make a 6-seater dining table for my house. And they made that table. I remember that table was rejected and it caused some serious problems. David, so how did you ever improve this table? Because the chairs are there, but the table, we didn't like them. Because of you guys became too creative in putting the lines which I didn't want and stuff like that. That's another problem. Perhaps the other gentleman is talking about how do you, make sure you understand the client beyond just what they have told you and your creativity.
Well, I think particularly from that particular job,
yes,
we were now trying to experiment with people who are more attentive to detail.
Yes.
People who actually know their furniture.
So was I a difficult client?
You were difficult at that time. But
yes.
But I think you were difficult. Yeah. But then every challenge comes with it a step for you to step higher.
Yes.
So from there on, I knew if you're ordering a table, and I think I did it on the second one. What do you want? What don't you want?
Okay.
Can I add this? Can I add this? Can I add this? So
there you have it. The table was changed. Is now right there. Isn't that beautiful, people? Do you have a furniture? So that's a table in my house done by these guys and looks beautiful. Let's check the next picture and see. We did the chairs, and somehow it was, yeah, right there. So how does this make you feel when you've finished and delivered something like this to somebody's home? Of course, I have issues with the cushions, which is the person was asking, the attention to details. The one who did the cushion wasn't. So yeah, that's my house. I like to make sure that you know, my things are done by Ugandans. So that's not an imported wood, just so you know. It's a wood created by these guys, and you can go into their workshop and give them business. Let's see another picture. And that it look like, yeah, right there. So they had improved the attention to details, as you can see, you know. And I went for something called ironwood. You want to explain what ironwood is? I gave them some bloody nose, as they call it in Uganda. It was a difficult thing for them to. Yes, David, pick it up from there. Yes.
Well, ironwood, actually, I think among all our customers,
Yes.
Eddie, you are the only person that has ironwood.
Yeah.
And even if you move this country again,
Yes, yes.
maybe you would find someone else from
Yes,
Sudan.
yes.
This is ironwood particularly. This is a wood type from Sudan, from Central Sudan,
Yeah.
from the Central Sudan forests, mostly.
Yeah.
It is a very hard piece of wood. It is too hard that even working it, you need to know it. And it's mostly worked by people from the north because they have access from it.
Yes.
Or to it, so they've gotten time to experiment with it.
Yeah.
In the central here, it is very hard because even the materials we have here, like the wood glue and everything, will not work with it. We actually had to order a specific amount of a specific type of glue called well, I'm forgetting the name. Pono glue from Kenya,
Yeah.
to work with your pieces, because every other type of wood we had here kept rejecting. Every other type of glue kept rejecting the piece of wood. It would again split. But it was a nice experience working with the ironwood,
Yes.
and it is very beautiful. It's
Yeah.
very grainous. It
Yeah.
is really a rich type of wood.
Yeah.
It supplements mugavu, which is the most grainous wood we have here,
Yeah.
locally growing here in Uganda. But ironwood was a new experience for me.
Yes.
And when I recommend it to customers, well, I recommend them.
You must have an exquisite taste to certain things. The first time I interacted with that wood, I was out of Uganda, and I found out that some of the furniture in White House in the US is made by some of the finest woodwork from, you know, Sudan and, you know, this place is called Congo. And you too can actually make sure you get something that you love and you can be part of. And I want to stretch this point to so many people out there that when you dream of having a furniture in your house, you need to be able to put that picture up again so I can explain it to people, you know, something that people don't understand. When you have a dream, we all dream of something cool and beautiful that we want to have. And you can set up the target and take your time, but you must find people who are able to do it. That type of wood is what is used in White House. If you look at the White House, and you know, many of these state house, you know, particularly in Europe, they have some very exquisite taste for wood. I mean, President Putin, for example, his wood in his in the state house, if we call it, or you know, the Russia house, whatever we call it, is such an amazing taste of wood. Now, it's created by a carpenter. So when I walked out there and I interacted with some of these things, one time I was in Dominican Republic, and I went to a house, one of those training I do, and I saw some certain type of wood. That's when I interacted with some of the most beautiful wood, and I said, one day we will have this. So yes, it's something that I want people to understand, that you can have your own dream, and your dream can be brought to a reality, and your dream can live. So it's not just any type of wood. David can tell you, the first time I gave it to them, it was very difficult to deal with. And I wanted to share that experience. Was I a crazy customer to you guys when we first started?
Well, unfortunately, I will say yes.
Yes.
Because when you talked about, well, I want ironwood, I went to the procurement guy and told him, you know what, Ronnie, that is my big brother, by the way.
Yes.
We need ironwood.
Yes.
He said, what is that? I said, no, there is ironwood. So he goes to Industrial, where we purchase this wood. He tried to call every wood person he knows. asking for ironwood, and they told him, unless you're looking for ebony, which you're also not going to get, there's nothing like ironwood. I said, but no. I went online, I gave him pictures of ironwood. So now he goes with a picture, I want this type of wood. And it was lucky for us, that lucky for Eddie too, that we came across someone who had a full warehouse of ironwood.
You could tell them the story of how long that wood has been there.
He had a full warehouse of ironwood. This was a foreigner. This guy was Indian. I don't know if the warehouse had been captured in the 76 war that took off Amin.
Yes. Then
it had been kept locked for all this time, and this wood had been purchased with the intention of using it to make lorry bottoms.
Yes.
That is the wood that you find in the lorry bottoms.
Yeah.
Because it even if you dipped it in water for a year, it will not react. It will not break. It will not dissolve. It won't even lose color. So that was ironwood. We find a full warehouse of ironwood and mahogany, and Ronnie says, well, there's a warehouse here. I said, let's go and look at it. And when I first had this, the wood had of course withered a bit, that you could not identify it from the top. I told him, no, let's go with our plane, and let's plane one piece. And the beauty of it was excess. Actually, I think besides Eddie, I too have ironwood in my house.
Yes.
Because it was superb. It was something good. We first of all bought a section of the wood in the warehouse, but we ended up buying everything.
Yeah.
We bought everything. We had a sales agreement with this guy, and I told him, if you sell one piece, you're going to court.
And 90% of that wood is at House of Talent.
Exactly.
So again, I want to just make everybody understand that it is possible. We're talking about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Just put it up there. We're talking about Ugandan-made furniture. Can you make it possible? Can Ugandans do it? So when we're talking about local content development, focusing on Ugandan-made furniture in this particular show today, we want you to know that buy from these guys, go to these guys and give them opportunity. These guys on Facebook, write to them, give them an order, and they'll be able to produce something very good for you. A lot of us are talking about these things. If you're a carpenter out there, send us a message, show us what you're having, and we'll definitely be able to bring this to you. IKEA has or makes the best type of woods and creativity in the whole world. All of us dream of buying IKEA, but do we have the money to buy IKEA? Do our earnings take us there? Can we reach there? If not, then it's something that we need to be able to think about the alternative, and these guys do much better. David, we've got to bring this show to a close. Let's go back to your workshop and finalize some of the take us through the process of creativity that some of these furniture go through, so that somebody who is looking for, what's that? For example, I see you fitting in a house. So do you custom made fitting? When you're talking about custom made fitting in a house, is that a new house?
Yes, that is a new house. We were on site in Imbarara. One of our customers, from a recommendation, he's a Kano,
okay.
Kano Baguma.
Okay.
I'll mention. So he gave us his whole house to furnish it. We first of all did his door work, door frames and everything. We shut the house. Then he said, I want now items. We have an album.
That's the door woodwork you're talking about?
Yes. Those were some of his doors. So we first of all have an album. We give you options. Then you pick your options, and then we produce what you choose.
Okay.
You can even alter some of these options. I want this, but we are going to change this to this. So when we create this for you, then we come on site and fit it ourselves, because the fitting determines everything. If it's even if it's good and the fitting is wrong, it won't come out.
Okay, let's check on the next picture up there. The next picture, if you put the next picture up there, you were attempting to make, this was your first creation. Okay, let's talk about this. That's David Anderson Onyango up there, So what was the story behind this desk? We see this thing on Pinterest. We don't know how it is made, but you guys are making up a table,
So that was our first attempt at a picnic, a folding picnic table.
Yes.
We get this customer, guy is Indian.
That guy right there is a law student who is into carpenter. Continue.
Guy is Indian. He says, I want a picnic table that folds. He sent us a video from Pinterest, of course.
Yes.
So he's like, but you people can't make this. I know. You just make one that is static. So I told him, if I make this and it folds, we are doubling the cost. He says, well, as long as it does what I want, I'm going to pay. So the initial cost was supposed to be 800,000 for one that doesn't fold. So he's like, oh, I told him it won't be 1.6. It will become 2 point something. He says, as long as I get this thing and it folds. He has a smaller compound, but he wants to be able to expand it when he has more guests. And you know, people host a lot of people over the weekends.
So why don't you make House of Talent a gift of that, you know, table? We want to see if you can make another one. You made one table. Put that picture up again and we see that video. If we can task Onyango to actually make this with his people and make one more table. Put it up right there. Let's see.
Well, that is me checking it out.
Yes. How long ago has this been?
Well, that was, I think, 4 months back.
Okay. And it is still working?
Perfectly.
So why don't you make this for House of Talent? We want one just to give us a sample and we see if we can use it here and see if you can recreate the same thing you have done before.
Well, the first agreement will be if you don't want it in ironwood. Because that will be the only issue. Otherwise, it is something very easy and it is something nice. And I would love so much to showcase it. Because this is something new. You don't find it everywhere.
Okay, next furniture. Let's see if we can run through this quickly, and we want to know whether you too can make an order with these guys. Please visit them up. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. What's that?
That's a chest of drawer. It's a 5-drawer chest. Yeah, but that was made for a customer who had purchased a baby coat from one of the big shops, but it didn't come with a chest of drawer. So he's like,
because he couldn't afford that one. I know it's very expensive when you go from there.
So he says, come around, see my bed and produce something.
Okay, so next, let's look at the other pictures. Okay, so that's the bed right there.
That's a mahogany bed. It's totally hardwood. It is all mahogany. It was made for one of our customers that is also a staunch wood fan like you, natural wood, no paint. It simply varnished to coat it, but it is no paint, all that is natural color.
Okay, next. This is the inside fitting.
Yes, now these are fitted wardrobes, the ones that are unmovable. This was also on site in Kabale for one of our customers.
Wow. All right, next.
That is a two-seater dining set.
Okay.
Very rare. People don't usually order such things because, but that is me testing it out to make sure you won't fall. It was a mahogany. It was fully mahogany, ordered by one of our good customers. And
okay, and let's look at this. So this is right in your workshop.
Yes.
So how do we make sure that the cushions up there actually fit better? Because the downer one is fitting very well, but the upper one is fitting. And I met a friend of mine who said that we need to be able to use high density foam to be able to make sure that the seats are much more comfortable and stuff like that. Are you guys going into that? Are you partnering with people who are making this? Who makes the cushion? Do they understand? Do they measure it on? What's the process like as we close the show?
Well, we always advise customers that we are embracing the high density mattresses, and so our prices have become a little more competitive because when you're going into high density, the costs are higher. But we do give these options to our customers, and we actually refrain from making lower qualities because well, sometimes you don't want someone talking bad about you. Because when that customer can't explain that they ordered at a low price, it's a chair that's going to talk. And if he's talking a bad language, it's bad for you already.
All right, well, we've been talking to David Onyango and we've brought the show to the close. David, thank you very much for coming to the program. What's your last word to a customer who is watching you, to somebody who's watching you, and to a carpenter who has never got an opportunity to be where you are today? What would you say to them, and what would you say to most Ugandans about Buy Uganda, Build Uganda?
I'll begin with the carpenters.
Yes.
People want to support you. Give them their quality. Give them the quality that they deserve. Charge them the money, but give them the quality. Because one thing I've learned in my experience is that people know good things, and they are willing to pay for them. So you don't have to alter the quality just because you're pulling a price down. Make the quality fit the price, and then the right people will buy it. My advice to customers is that there are a lot of shady people in the carpentry business, but the good people are there too. So find them, and they'll give you what you deserve. Not only me, there are a lot of other people that are doing woodwork and they're doing it well. We at Arc Furniture, we shall be ready to serve you. My team is there. We have manager Ronnie, he's the productions manager. When you come to Arc Furniture, you're going to find him there grinding these machines one by one, making sure items are coming out. And my whole team is there. We have manager Junior. He's the general manager running the whole place. Usually you find him up in front, and he's a finishing man. You always find him criticizing the surface of an item, critically checking it out, but he's there at the job. And we have a lot of other workers, Gideon, a lot of them. I'll mention names, I will not, but they are all there and they're dedicated to produce the quality that we have set for ourselves. And our pace is still on the run up. And my advice to everyone else that is doing production, their creativity is that creativity alone is not enough until you monetize it, because at the end of the day, even if you have a passion for it, the money is what matters. You cannot push forward without money. You cannot develop it without the money. You cannot expand it and actually feel proud of it after 5 years if it has not given you anything. So go and see how you can monetize that creative work that you're doing. If you are an artist, if you are a woodworker, whatever you do that is part of creativity, do monetize it. Give it, go and do research, read the books, there's general knowledge that will apply in your business, and then you can consult. I mean, to those of other people that have seen enough of woodwork and of those professions that you're working in, are always free to share. If anyone is gluttonous with their knowledge and they don't share it, then they're not the right person for the job. These are people who know their crafts are always willing, because they know they're also growing. You can never outgrow them. They didn't stop. Yeah. So go and ask that person, come to Arc Furniture, to Oracle Furniture, we are there. I'll take you through my business because I don't care. I am running on a high speed up. You will never catch me. Or if you try, I love the competition.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Creative Industry has come to the end of the show. We want to say thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much for joining me. We're looking forward to, bring you another great show next week, same time, same place, right here on House of Talent Television. It's a wrap from us here, and from us and the crew, all behind the camera, the guys who make everything look beautiful, the guys who bring you the beautiful pictures and make sure that this production reaches you. We want to say a shout out to all of you guys. And until then, Creative Industry has come to an end. Stay blessed and stay creating. Tell a neighbor and share it far and wide. Eddie Killer, David Anderson Onyango, signing out. Can we hear some more from Jaja? Of course, Jaja is going to play for us that song, Kitenge. You've heard it, the sound, beautiful, and we're going to dive into how Kitenge is going to make it to the world stage as planned by Latif Shah.
Abamina bakyala mwena naddala bali erudde eri mu North London kyembakudira kiri kimu butekubagiza wadde embeera za korona bangi zatutagula kakati tuve mu mayumba kitengi pate yine ensonze bumale ate nga tetusaanidde ddala kugisuwa mwani yabagamba okwambala engoye z'emivumba tujja kwambala bitengi byokka designer Latif Uganda omurasita owakabye yatunga mu nnyonyi Maliki Jane ne Hawa abo basibi banviiri alo tujja kuba nabo Anifa wa makeup Mariamu yedikoleetako ne Popini ebyokulya bingi nnyo ebyekifiirika Madamu Sara Shoshi ebitaddemu omukono Olivia Katarini nalima Maka manyinga ulira Kulono twambala ebitengi byokka Kulono twambala bitengi byokka
COVID-19 came and disorganized our economy, brought our health system to its knees, and along the way, affected our rights significantly. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. My name is Jonathan Ochom, your host.
When it comes to the law, we basically live the law, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you know. Whether it is in your bedroom, there is a law that governs it. If you're married, for example, even if you're single, there could be something touching on the law, because you might be in your bedroom with an underage girl, or you might be with another person's wife, you know, all the things are the law, you know.
If you're a human being, you have rights. Those rights are called human rights. They are examples: the right to health, the right to freedom from torture, that underscores human dignity. Freedom from slavery. You're not supposed to be someone's slave.
If you look at our penal code, it sets out another marriage laws. It sets out the persons who can marry and those who cannot marry, right? For example, you can't marry your close relatives. You know, if you did, you'd be committing a crime.
The state is not supposed to tell you who to worship, how many times a day. No, you have a right to work. Your right to work, you have freedom of association.
Cohabitation for whatever period of time does not make you husband and wife, right? And that is why we emphasize to people that when the relationship is still hot, you know, you must ensure that you do what? Marry, you know?
For human rights to be respected, protected, and fulfilled, relevant government programs must actually work. Medicine should reach hospitals, oxygen should be there, health workers should have gloves, teachers should be present. Now they are mostly absent, and they have left the profession, a good number of them. They are into trading. So things must work. If things don't work, human rights are not respected, are not protected, and are not fulfilled.
COVID-19 has tested our hope and faith as individuals, families, and the country at large. Besides destroying many aspects of our lives, the novel coronavirus has also affected our human rights in many ways. You and the Law, the COVID edition, is a 30-minute weekly television program that focuses on the impact of COVID-19 on human rights in Uganda. The program engages experts to explain the importance of rights-based approaches to the success of any public health response to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of human rights amidst the challenges presented by COVID-19. You and the Law, the television program, brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda, taking the law to the last mile in proud association with I4C Africa Hub and House of Talent Television, coming soon.
Thank you very much. So this has been a very great talk show with Eddie Okello here. I would say that first, when you think about Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, we live in a free market economy. So people are going to buy your products not because it is Ugandan. No, they're going to buy your product because they love the product, because there is value that they want to get out of that product. So make sure that you're building for the customer and that it meets the standard that the customer expects. Then the customer falls in love with the product and they're hooked. They're your customer forever. Now they happen to be Ugandan, you happen to be Ugandan. Eventually we are building Uganda. Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is be creative in your business. Adapt to change. You know, look at all the changes. Ask yourself, what has changed in the past 5 years, or what has not changed in the past 5 years? That's also a very good question to ask, and then respond to that change or that thing that hasn't changed. You know, COVID has happened. There are a lot of things that have changed currently. People are now adapting to working remotely. If you're a company, you're still asking people to come to the physical office 9 to 5. Maybe that needs to change. Maybe they need to come in a few days in a week, you know. Now you need to change your processes to allow for people to work from home, even past COVID. So these are the changes. Your customers, you still want them to come to the banking hall? Maybe not, you know. Probably they can do some of these things that you require them to come to the banking hall remotely through digital channels that are existent, like WhatsApp, like Facebook, or even your website, you know. We have House of Talent here. It's broadcasting, and it doesn't have all the traditional broadcasting infrastructure that a TV station traditionally has. But here you are, you know, watching us, and you're watching us through all these channels that we have thought about and we are using. Yes, so adapt to the change. Look at the things that haven't changed. If they haven't changed, then you know, build your business accordingly. Yeah, so that is my little piece of advice, and I'm also happy to receive some of the advice that you already have.
It is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okello, and welcome to House of Talent Television, where we bring you creative industry talk every single Tuesday of the week. And of course, depending on which type, part, place, part of the world you're watching the show, it is the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, we're continuing with our discussion on the Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, local content development. I think that this conversation was brought alive with the Facebook situation that just happened a couple of hours ago all across the world. The blackout of Facebook gave a very interesting, discussion. I attended one of the Twitter spaces last night, and it was all about local content development. How do we empower our people? How do we move on? What are the alternatives? How do we go forward? And of course, we know that some of you guys are not able to catch the show today because your Facebook is still, kaput. And of course, if you live in Uganda, you are still, Facebook and government of Uganda still doing this, all the time. So yeah, but go to Twitter. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on our, your website, www.houseoftalentuganda. But go to YouTube, share it far and wide. Coming and joining me on the show this day again on part 2 is David Okwi, the founder and the chief everything of Oduka Stores, an online platform in Uganda. And of course, David was here last week, and David is back on part 2 as you requested. David, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Okello.
Good. You are the chief everything of Oduka, as we would say it. How is it going? First of all, when you appeared on the show last week, yes, what were the responses from your people?
It was interesting. A lot of people were really excited. They got a lot of insights into some of the things that I shared, and the feedback was generally positive.
Okay.
Yes.
David, we want to start from a lighter note. Facebook blackout, the whole global situation where everyone never expected that Facebook would ever go. It was not an, it was an unheard-of situation. You know. Had you ever thought that Facebook would easily go off like that? And this time around for more hours? What's your take?
When you're as big as Facebook, you become too big to fail.
Yes.
You are like more like the Titanic, you know, too big to sink.
Yes.
But this infrastructure is built by humans who are fallible. We fail all the time. So this is rare, but it can happen to just about any company out there, regardless of the size.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2019, we had a situation where Facebook went off for at least 1 hour.
Yes.
And they were able to, you know, turn around things very quickly. This time around, it was more than 6 hours for people who live in Africa. I don't know. I think
it was global. It was a global blackout, including the US. Yes.
Yes. And I attended some of the Twitter Spaces discussion yesterday. Luckily, Twitter was on, and it's you know, owned by the same guys. So I was wondering what was the. It was mainly WhatsApp, Facebook. I mean, WhatsApp, Facebook, and then I think Instagram. That was totally off.
Yes,
Yeah. What sort of sense did that give you, David?
I think that gave me. I sort of got the idea that. We have to decentralize the internet. Currently, the internet as it is highly centralized onto maybe 5 companies around the world. You have Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and maybe Cloudflare, and Microsoft. Yeah, and so a lot of traffic that actually routes across the internet goes through these big companies. So if our lives are heavily dependent on these companies, and you know, things go down, then down goes our lives as well, and our businesses. So we have to decentralize the internet, and we have to at least allow for alternatives. We have to have smaller players alongside bigger players, so such that when there is a failure somewhere, we have alternatives.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, some people almost committed suicide yesterday. They couldn't fathom the fact that they are not online, they're not on Facebook. The millennials were running mad. We don't know what for sure, how many numbers we have of people who were dead yesterday. In those hours, or how many people got mentally completely disturbed or sick. Because there are people who leave posting their pictures and then seeing the likes, and then you want to see, hey, how many people have liked my photos, you know, what is going on? And then, you know, kaput. I think it was a good way for us to detox from the whole system of just being heavily dependent on, you know, technology for your life, particularly Facebook. You know, what do you think?
There is that, but currently things like Facebook are utilities. The same way that you have electricity. So when it goes off, you're not detoxing at all. It's just that now your life is heavily dependent on some of these tools. And so if power goes off, the whole system here is off. You know, a lot of things are off. It is a utility. It's a part of the infrastructure that we currently use. So a lot of businesses use Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram to sell their goods and services. People, you know, now you have the influencer economy. You know, people are influencing and making money out of it. You have digital marketers now who are, you know, managing a number of pages for their clients, and so you have a whole new set of jobs that are heavily dependent on these platforms and these tools. So when it goes off, it's not like they're detoxing. No, their livelihoods have also gone off.
Actually, talking of that, David, yesterday I was hearing a lot of different, you know, organizations and companies and, you know, the small, medium businesses all across, you know, the continent of Africa and all across the world, are all complaining about the same. There are, you know, older people whose livelihood is dependent on Facebook. I was hearing people who are older, 60 years, you know, 50, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. My customers like this. I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. What happened to the online platforms we're talking about? A lot of these, you know, businesses, their payment are completely apparently integrated onto the Facebook system, working and payments, and so a lot of people didn't lost business yesterday or didn't make money yesterday.
Yeah.
What sort of like picture does that give us going forward from your point of view as an online platform owner?
It again shows how heavily reliant we are on these platforms. And even if you're not a merchant or a seller, you could actually be using Facebook to sign on to other services, using Facebook sign-on. So if Facebook is down, then you can't sign on to that particular service. It could be some app, even Twitter. You can sign on to Twitter using Facebook and so forth. So if that particular part of the internet is down, then you're blocked out from some of these other services that rely on Facebook for authentication and login. Yes, so that is a disaster. So people have to take note of this and figure out ways of having plan B, basically. Yes. Have plan B somewhere.
But how do we, these other platforms, yesterday we were able to see a lot of this alternative platform beginning to gain massive traffic. I would love to see what data is coming out from the 6 hours of Facebook or 7 hours of Facebook not being there. How many of these platforms were able to gain like exponentially or whatever they call it quickly into that space to basically like get as many as possible. I know, for example, that several, I don't know many numbers, but I know Telegram yesterday had so many Ugandans going in there for the first time. I don't know what to do, and people are trying to message each other and trying to shift that. But how does that play with our system that has already been built? How do you get customers to get to that place to try and begin to interact?
So as an online store, I have to diversify my sales channels. Currently, I'm on WhatsApp, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and then the website, and then the phone call. So those are 5 channels. Yes. So WhatsApp, Facebook went off yesterday. I was remaining with Twitter. I was remaining with the phone calls and then my website.
And then the SMSs.
Yes, phone and SMS. So, I mean, it was late. I don't really expect orders at that time. But if that happened during the day, people would still be able to make orders by either ringing the number or going to the website that they know. And make orders. Yes, so my entire business isn't entirely reliant on Facebook infrastructure. So that is really key.
Okay, that's for you. But there's a total global outcry of this thing yesterday. And a lot of tech guys were advising us, you got to think about the alternative. Nobody ever thought this was going to happen. It could be worse. It happened 1 hour. This time around it went for over 5 hours. It could be worse in coming days. Look for this. And then a lot of stressful stuff. So what happened to a person who has integrated their payment for goods and services or product they're offering onto this platform? What sort of problems have they gotten themselves into when Facebook went off, from your view?
Definitely, that means that you're not able to receive orders, or you're not able to communicate with your clients, or if you're a content creator, you're not able to post content like House of Talent. I think we're not broadcasting on Facebook yesterday. So that is lost. You could potentially be losing revenue in terms of viewership and ad revenue and stuff. So this really affects people that have their systems integrated with these platforms here. Yes, even payments, I think Facebook, WhatsApp payments are integrated in Brazil and India. So that really goes off.
Okay, but there's no loss of business, no loss of money. You can't lose money in this kind of situation, right?
You lose money in the sense that your platforms are off and you're not able to receive orders, or people are not able to view your content. So that is lost revenue. Facebook itself lost about I think $6 million in 6 hours. Yesterday. And Mark Zuckerberg's valuation, he lost about $9 billion.
So the stock dropped down.
Yes, it dropped. About $9 billion. Yeah, so that's actual money.
Yeah.
Real money.
It's good though when the big boss feel that kind of pain also. Although,
Yeah.
although it's nothing, could be nothing for him, but it's
Yeah.
good to see how when he feels that. I mean, do the big guy is also crying,
Yes.
or is he crying, or
I
it's
mean,
okay?
he's
It's
dropped
like
to
a
number
patient.
5. It's all about bragging.
Yes.
Bragging with his friends, with the Elon Musks
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the Jeff Bezos.
yeah.
You know, you're losing pride.
Yes. All right, David, we're going to just, take a break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into our conversation today of local content, which came out very likely, prominent yesterday in a discussion all across the globe. Everyone is talking about local content development. How do we harness some of our products here to be able to, do business and continue to go when the global platforms are down. Stay right there. Creative Industry Talk. We'll be right back after this break. Eddie Okello, David Okwi, and we'll be right back after this.
Of the pack. It helps you become the trendsetter. Humankind is set in a way that they will always have a thing for the pioneer of things.
Yeah.
So we see it, if you think about these big corporations we see in Uganda and how they advertise and the different promotions they bring, you will somehow the target market will always have the pioneer front of mind. So for me, creativity, that is how important it is, because you will get the masters, you will be an A-lister on the papers. But if you do not know how to channel, because there's not one company in the arts or in business, as we know it, there's not a company that hires more than 10 people, and all of them are not creative. There is always creativity in a company.
Welcome back to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okello, and this is House of Talent Television. David Okwi in the studio. David, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Just before we went for break, we're talking about Facebook situation and how it affected this kind of, the online platform, and how it's shifting the conversation around using tech for business. David, we left here last week when we were talking about local content development, particularly zeroing down to Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. What sort of, how do we integrate platforms to be able to do business? And you, delivered that last week quite very well. This week we want to talk about, local content development, but particularly zeroing down to, prices. Building the platform, the product, and then the prices. Product placement, prices, and delivery, and payment.
Right.
How does it work? How do we integrate this thing to work? But first, talking from that point, yesterday there was a lot of conversation around Facebook. Many businesses surviving on Facebook, but there was a fear. They kept talking about the DNS, down, the API down, and there was something about Facebook registry down. And so many people, massive number of people across the world were worried that they would not be able to Facebook route to their website and to their businesses, to their link to their business pages. And they were not able to go to their website. How do you go about that? And why did Facebook go down?
Okay, so
speculation, of course, yes.
No, Facebook released a statement this morning, actually, explaining the cause of the issue. So what caused the issue was related to something within the network that went down. So specifically it was what we call DNS, or domain name system. So DNS is like the phone book of the internet. Yes, so what happened is that those records went kaput. kaput, they went missing. So it's like, you know, you have your phone, for example, and then I went and deleted the names that are associated with those phone numbers. Now, if you got back to your phone, unless you've crammed my phone number,
I can't tell this is David Okwi,
exactly.
Killer, Moses Wu,
Yeah. So you're basically in the dark. So that's what happened. The DNS system for Facebook went down. It was because of a configuration issue. Somebody went into the routers and messed up a record somewhere. And it
so
blacked
the
out
registry
everything.
was actually real.
Blacked out the entire system on the data center.
But Daudi, with the kind of level of Facebook and the kind of things, the kind of brain that is there, or the brains that are working there, those are kind of really smart people. I listened to Dan York yesterday or last night host, or early this morning, depending on which part of the world people are watching from. Dan York is one of the tech guys. You know, hosted a Twitter space yesterday, and he was talking about, says it should have not taken Facebook that long to sort that problem out unless others. And a lot of tech guys were saying, no, the brains there are quite good. It should not take them this long. I mean, maybe it was more than something else. So how do we bounce back from that situation?
Facebook hasn't really given details into what really went down, apart from just, you know, giving us
a guy who was
overview.
tweeting in some time, and then they took down the tweet.
On Reddit. Yes. So the details under, we don't really know how it happened. I know that these companies have redundancy, such that if one system goes down, there is some sort of backup and redundancy system to get things back online. Yes, but at the end of the day, it's really humans that are managing these networks, and humans are infallible. We are mere mortals. Eventually, someone is going to be gamed.
Wow. That's a big shot. So, Daudi, coming back to this, we want to look into the similar situation in Uganda here, where, you know, online platforms, first of all, where are we at the moment, and how are we doing at the moment? You with Oduka are running these things. I'm sure you're always looking at, you know, people around you and looking at their platforms. How do we create the online platforms first, and how do we put the products there? How do we list the products? We want to take us through that process today.
I think that Facebook for Uganda demystified what the internet was. If you just go back a few years, a decade ago, without Facebook, people didn't really understand what the internet was all about, apart from a few nerds. Actually, I happened to work in an internet cafe in my Form 6 vacation. And what people used to come to do was basically just read and reply Yahoo Mail. Yes. Yes, so someone would, walk or hop onto a taxi and travel 50 kilometers, 10 kilometers just to check if they have email. And maybe pen pals were a big deal just before social media. And then also smartphones were just beginning to pick up. That's about the early 2010s. But when Facebook came, along with Twitter and YouTube, people realized that they had an outlet to express their thoughts and their opinions, to express themselves through photos, selfies, and it was basically liberating. You could do anything. You could, build an audience. You could become an influencer, and so Facebook really gave meaning to the internet, along with all other social media networks. Yes, but maybe 4 years ago, OTT was introduced. That's when things started to slow down. Taxes, now Facebook is being blocked and so forth. So that has, there is a little bit of a roadblock or a slowdown in what internet can do and what is being used for in Uganda, because these are the platforms that people associated the internet with, and they literally thought that the internet was Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, and so forth.
But the internet is more than that.
It is much broader.
So in essence, I know you haven't answered the question directly, but I want to ask you another question. So, David, if you, from a software developer, from a networker, what is really internet? That's a question yesterday. People were saying internet is down globally. Internet is down. It was just Facebook that was down. Internet wasn't down. So what is internet for a common person? The border guys were having a conversation last night, or all across Africa. The internet is down, so now Africa is doomed. The internet wasn't down. It was just one company, big, giant company called Facebook going down for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is internet?
Eventually, internet is someone's computer, some big computer sitting in some server room somewhere. Yes, and cables routing around, and you have fiber cables, transatlantic and Pacific cables running under the ocean, transmitting this information. So it boils down to networks. The internet is a network of networks. Yes. Communicating with each other, built on top of computers.
Okay.
Yeah. So applications like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter give meaning to these networks, basically, to these cables, and they make them valuable. Yes, people are able to, make orders through the internet. They're able to communicate with family and friends. They're able to build audiences. They're able to do all these things. But eventually, at the end of the day, it's just a network of networks.
Okay. Going back to our topic, which is the local content, building the platform, online platform. People were asking, how do I start building an online platform? How do I put my goods up there? Where do I start with my product? What kind of product do I put up there? And that was some of the questions that people dropped last week when you appeared on the show. If you would want to just dive and read from there.
Yeah, you can use existing platforms like Facebook. You can actually create a Facebook shop. Yes, you can also create a shop on WhatsApp. You can upload your catalog there, pictures, and people are able to actually browse your items on WhatsApp for business specifically. Yes, but you can build a website that gives you more independence, such that when these platforms go offline, like what we've seen yesterday, you still have a channel where customers can reach you. So you can build an e-commerce website using tools like WooCommerce or WordPress, and apps if you want to. You can also build an app available on iOS and Android that people can use to make orders. My favorite is just having a phone number that people can just call and make an order for your stuff.
Okay. So when I build that now, Dawoodi, and I have it, how do I put my product up there? How do I get people to know that my product is here? Yeah. How do I, communicate the product itself?
You have to have very nice images or pictures of whatever stuff that you're selling. So if you're selling shoes, you have to take really very nice pictures or even videos of your products, and then you upload them to your profile. Yes, on Instagram or Facebook or your website. Now when you upload the images along with their prices, people at the very least can just view and say, this guy has this shoe, he has maybe running shoe, or he has weekend shoes, or he has office shoes, and so forth. And someone is able to say, I saw these shoes on your profile, or on your Twitter, or on your website. How much is it? How can you deliver? Or how can I make payments? That sort of thing. Yes, so once your products are up there, then the next thing now is, how do you get them to the customer? Does the customer pick them from your shop if you have a physical store somewhere in Tinda or in town? Or are you completely online? And in that case, then you have to find a way of delivering the product to the customer, either at their home or at a specified location, some sort of hub or some place that you agree on. Yes, and when the product is delivered to the customer, then now the other question is, how does the customer pay for the goods and services? Yes, the most common payment is cash. So when the product is delivered to the customer, they are able to just pay the delivery guy, could be you, or one of your delivery people, could be a border guy or whoever, and you're able to give them and receipt them at the same time. Yes, or they could send you money through electronic means, either mobile money or a point of sale that the delivery guy has gone with.
Okay.
And the transaction is then closed.
Okay. It sounds very easy, but not so very easy.
Yes.
Because to some people, I build a shop and I want now this thing to go out to the public.
Right.
How do you start to tell people, now I have this product, guys?
Yeah.
How do you reach out to the far end guys, people who like now Nakapiripirit, you know, people in the,
Okay, so you have to start with your family and friends and your immediate networks.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's important to build an audience
Yeah.
online. Because now those are the people that you reach out to,
Yeah.
and then through word of mouth, they spread the word.